Thank you for letting me make a statement. I just want to introduce the commission to our new conservation agent, Jessica Siegel, who's on with us this evening. This is her first day and first meeting. Today, she's just going to observe and take some notes for the meeting minutes, and I'll still be your acting agent until the next meeting, or actually until tomorrow. But for this meeting, I'll be your acting agent.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here. It's nice to meet you all.
Welcome.
Welcome. Nice to have you.
Glad to have you, Jessica.
Well, I guess I wasn't really prepared because Elizabeth's not here. So Travis, please correct me if I stray off script here. This is the Greenfield Conservation Commission. It is October 22nd, 2024. This meeting is being recorded by the Conservation Commission. If any other persons are present recording, you must notify us at this time. Is anyone else also recording? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. Should any technical interruption to the meeting occur and the meeting is suddenly ended, it will not be resumed and all items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting date, which is, pardon me for not being prepared, the 12th of November. Contact the conservation agent for more information, and that is Jessica. Welcome so much, Jessica. We're so happy to have you. I guess the first thing on our agenda are administrative matters. We have approval of meeting minutes from our last Conservation Commission meeting, which was not 9/24, but hang on, I've got them open. Was it? No, it couldn't have been 9/24.
10/8.
10/8. Okay. Anybody want a motion to approve those? I can motion.
I'll motion to approve the minutes from October 8th.
I'll second that then. Does anybody have any comments on them?
I just saw the ones that you had put in there.
Yeah, I had a couple comments. These are fantastic, by the way. They're really great minutes. Yeah, I just had a couple comments on the turtle restoration plan. That should be a turtle protection plan.
Oh, okay.
And then you got it right like 4 other times later. So it was just, I think twice. And then later it was turtle protection plan later. So that was my only thing. And then at the very end under enforcement updates, it says Kristen read an email from Eric Twarog stating that the restoration plan for 75 Oak Hill Road was to be completed by November 15th. I remember doing that. Did I do that?
It was mentioned.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Someone did. I remember that in the meeting.
Right.
I swear, I like fall asleep at 6:30. I'm like Cinderella. Okay. I believe you. Any other discussion?
I did say they were submitted by you and Eric. Is it supposed to be Elizabeth and Eric? Elizabeth was here, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
She was here.
Was right at the end, I think it's.
Oh yeah, so I guess the question is it submitted by Eric, acting agent, and Kristen, vice chair, from this meeting or submitted from the last meeting? So if it's being submitted from this meeting, then that would be Kristen, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Because
Thank you for
tonight's
picking that
when we're
up.
making the motion to approve them.
Yeah, so we do have a motion and a second, and no other public comment or commission comments. So I guess I'll take a roll call. Erica,
Hi.
Travis,
Aye.
and Emily.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. Meeting minutes are approved. Oh, I lost my agenda. Hold on. Oh, I forgot to roll call the members. Is that bad, Travis? All present, I guess if it's not too late. Erica Laforme, Emily Boss, Travis Dury, and Kristen McDonough. We also have Jessica. I'm sorry, what's your last name again?
Siegel.
Sorry,
Siegel.
it's on mute. Yes, Siegel, I was trying to make my name totally visible, but I have to figure that out. I'll do that for next time.
Okay, that's cool. So Jessica Seal, our brand
Yeah.
new acting agent, welcome. Sorry, I'm a little out of order and discombobulated. I was actually busy drafting up the special conditions for the Mass DOT thing right before the meeting started. Okay, so first thing on our agenda is a public hearing, and this is continued from October 8th. It's the notice of intent for maintenance of roadways and drainage systems on Route 91, Route 2, Route 5, Route 10, DEP file 1680363. And this is a project that proposes routine maintenance of existing roadways, including widening less than a single lane, adding shoulders, correcting substandard intersections, improving drainage systems, and repaving. I don't think we have Billy here from Mass DOT tonight, do we?
I don't believe she was going to attend this meeting.
Okay, I think she was expecting a continuance because we were hoping to have an agent support this. It's a pretty big lift, just to update the rest of the commission. So I did speak with Mark Stinson very briefly a couple of weeks ago, and it sounds like DOT is kind of modeling their operation and maintenance plan bundled NOI or comprehensive NOI, starting with Greenfield as the model. And if it works, then they'll start applying for that across the Commonwealth. So we have a lot of pressure to do a really good job with that. And I kind of started digging into this week. I know I'm really behind on that. It's just been a crazy couple of weeks, but I'm already on page like 10. And I'm on category 1 of category 3. So it's gonna be a lot. So I guess I was hoping to talk with Billy and Mark and just sort of shape this into a little bit more of a better condition before I kick it over to you, Jessica. And then as a whole commission, I was thinking that we would all kind of take a stab at that and then whittle it down. If that works for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just curious if anyone has like spoken to anyone at DOT about this, because I know we continued it last time and
Yeah, I sent
not-
Billy an email this week just saying, sorry, I'm really behind. And I know Mark is very available and looking to talk with us. I had hoped that DOT would have drafted those, like some draft special conditions for those 3 categories that they broke out in the NOI. Category 1, as a reminder, does not need to be, like, whatever operation and maintenance work that they're proposing does not need to be brought before the commission. Category 2 would be operation and maintenance work that would require prior written notification to be provided to the commission, and the agent may or may not require the commission's review. Category 3 would be definitely going to require a new permit. So basically anything with engineering plans would fall under category 3, like a culvert replacement. And they had broken out some examples in the NOI, so it seemed like that would be a natural springboard, but it wasn't very comprehensive. And I feel like this is a good opportunity to fold in a lot of that O&M stuff so that we could potentially streamline communications between DOT and the Greenfield Concom. Also, they can use this as a model for other commissions and possibly reduce the amount of business we do with DOT. And they can get administrative approval for some of the stuff that's in category 2. So I'm just kind of working on that, and it's very rough, and I'm only just starting, and I'm really behind, and I'm very sorry.
Well, thanks for taking that on. That definitely sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, like I said, I was hoping DOT was going to take it up.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways, it bounced back. So I guess I guess I'll motion to continue that for the next hearing, and I will promise to have something at least for DOT review and commission review by then. I promise.
The only thing, just because it's an open public hearing, we might have to do a public
Public
comments
comment.
in
Yeah,
case
you're right.
anyone has any.
Yeah, if anyone here from the public would like to comment on that before I motion to continue, we'd love to hear from you.
I'm not the public, but I can make a statement. It's too bad Mitch left at that time, and he could have definitely helped you out with that. Probably drafted most of it with your review, and I was going to volunteer to do that for you, but I'm a one-person planning department. I just couldn't take it on, so sorry about that.
It's okay. Honestly, I do have some experience with it, and I've done some comprehensive NOIs for, universities, for example, not DOT, but they have a lot of similar maintenance stuff with roadways and access routes and parking lots and culverts, and it's kind of the same stuff. So we can pull ideas from other stuff. So it shouldn't be too heavy of a lift. It's just a lot of writing. I just need to sit down and do it some night. Well, I guess if no one from the public has any comments on that, I guess I'll motion to continue. And that, just as a reminder, is DEP file number 1680363.
A second.
And that's to continue to November 12th.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Just
did
to
say that earlier, but
specify.
I already forgot it. Thank you, Travis. Yeah. All right, motion's been made and seconded. No public comment. Any commissioners have any other comments?
I want to applaud you for taking the lead on this. And just to say that I feel like it is extremely important, especially since they're using it as a model. So taking our time, looking it over, considering it, considering things like climate change and changing conditions. I'm really glad that you've been helping us, not just rubber stamp it, and the timing is tricky losing Mitch, but we'll get through it. So thank you, Kristen. And
Thank you, Emily. I will also say that Billy said that she's okay with waiting for the commission to have a new agent, that it wasn't a hair on fire issue and they were okay with waiting. So I think that it is important, as you said, Emily, to take our time and do a thorough job. Make sure that this will be something that that will stand up to other commissions, I think. So, but I promise I'll have it to you soon. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, we have comments. I'll do a roll call. Emily?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
And Travis?
Aye.
And I am also an aye, so that passes. And the next thing on our agenda is a public meeting for a request for a determination of applicability for a new underground conduit at 4 Mead Street, public right-of-way. The proposed work consists of the following: Comcast to trench and place new underground conduit and cable in a public right-of-way. Comcast will also place 2 new vaults in the public right-of-way. They will be placing these substructures to provide services to a business located at 40 Mead Street in Greenfield. Do we have anybody here to present this application?
John is here.
Yes, it's John from Comcast.
Do you want us to help you with a screen share and pull up the project plans or anything, John?
Oh, I'm not. I'm on audio.
I think we can do that if that's helpful for the commissioners to see what the proposal is.
Okay.
Anybody happen to have that queued up? I can get it in a second.
I can get it so you don't have to do
Oh,
2 things at
thanks.
once here.
I figured Travis would have.
I just like to mention too that in the notice where it says 2 new vaults, there's been a modification to the plan, which I edited. So it actually is now 3 vaults, not 2.
So Travis, if this, it's in the Google Drive, it should be saying new. So it should
Yeah,
be,
I think this is the one that says new.
Excellent.
Let me double check. Yeah, plan's new.
Yep, that's it. Forty Mead Street or Mill Street, technically the address is Berkshire Gas.
Oh, so didn't we just hear from another applicant last meeting about the dam upgrades in the same location?
Essentially, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
43,
yeah.
yes. 43 Mill Street, yes.
Okay, I'll save it. Never mind. John, you want to talk about the project and what you're going to be doing out there?
Yeah, so we're gonna be trenching from the corner of Mill Street and Mead to intercept an existing conduit and set a vault there. That's up at the top, kind of the top of the hill, I guess. That's the beginning of it. So we're going to be running we're going to be placing a 1 3-inch conduit in the trench. That's going to run around 402 feet down Mead Street towards 40 Mead, Berkshire Gas property. And then we're going to be intercepting another existing conduit that runs onto their property and placing a vault there. That was the full scope of work originally, but we've since added another conduit. So coming from that vault in front of 40 Mead Street, we're going to run a trench and run a 2-inch, a smaller conduit. 2-inch conduit further down Mead Street, 272 feet. And then we have to also intercept an existing conduit running onto their property and set a vault there as well. That's the third and new vault. The revision to the original plan. So like I explained to Eric on site on last Friday, my contractor uses a pretty minimally invasive trenching machine. So it is a 6 to 8 inch wide trench, and we go 24 inches deep. That's the pipe in. They actually had a custom made bucket for their apparatus that they dig with, just so it is less, like I said, less invasive anywhere they're digging. And that's pretty. And then once that's done, we're gonna pull fiber optic cable into 40 Mead Street to the 2 different buildings on the property. And this is going to be for increasing the safety of their monitoring of their facility there, because the services they're currently running on are unreliable at times.
Are there existing underground communications there currently? Is this an upgrade?
There is that comes out into the right of way. There's 2 of them, and this is an upgrade on our end, so we can connect to those. But unfortunately, like I said, we have to run from the corner of Mill and Mead down Mead Street in order to tie into those their conduits that come out to the right of way.
Okay, so that line is a new line connecting to an existing line. So basically, I was wondering if there are underground utilities already there in place, or if this is brand new infrastructure.
Yeah,
the
stuff. Yeah, so we're putting in brand new to tie into existing. They actually have 2 existing 2-inch conduits in 2 different sections of Mead Street that run onto their property. They come out to the right of way currently. That's actually how Verizon gets their services to them.
And you said it's basically just like a 6 to 8 inch trench for the conduit line, but
Correct.
I'm sorry, did you also say that there was some kind of like an underground box or something?
Right. So we put in, it's called a vault. We install those so the conduit can terminate into it. And then that way when you pull the cable through, you can come out of the new conduit you put in and then jump into the existing conduit. It gives you a place where you can do that. And you can access it in the future.
And the
So it
what,
just has
What's the size of the
Sorry, go ahead.
vault?
what's that?
24 by 36 inches.
Okay.
And they go down 2 feet to the depth of the conduit. And they have covers on them so you can pull them off and access. And they usually put gravel or trap rock in the bottom for drainage and stuff.
We did take some site photos. Erica and I did a site visit Friday. If you wanted to view those, Travis could probably bring those up.
Yeah, and there was another question on Friday about how long the trench would be open, but as they build the pipe, they close it back up. So it's kind of open and closed, or closed quicker than it's open. Really how to say it.
Like a zipper?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah.
The previous picture, Travis, if you could go back one, that is one of the locations, the buildings that the fiber optic will be connected to. The grass area between the gravel road and the fence is where the conduit will be placed, where you can see up further that the cone. That's the second building that it is going to be connected into.
Is the cone where one of the vaults will be? Or is that?
John,
Yeah, that cone. I think the cone that was there is in a different spot. I don't really know what. That was there. I don't know what that cone is. It's over something. I don't think there's anything underneath it. I'm not really sure what that cone was doing. Unless it's something to do with Berkshire Gas, but I don't really know.
is the flag location there, John, where it's going?
Yeah, that's in that general area. That was part of the original dig safe that was done. It's marking out a gas line. I believe it's Berkshire Gas, their gas line that runs up Mead Street. It'll have to be dig safe again because the original one expired.
And pretty much that's the terminus up at the intersection of Mead and Mill Street.
Correct. Yeah, it's going to ride up to the top. Then there's going to be a road cut at the top, approximately 40 feet to get behind a guardrail that's up there. And then that's where the pipe will terminate on that end. We'll be placing a vault up there.
So there is something that it connects to.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that I was just wondering what it was going to connect to, that up at the top there, but
There's an existing pipe up there, I believe.
okay.
Is part of the plan to reseed the grass over the trench area?
Yes, absolutely. My underground, I have two different underground contractors and they always, reseed.
So
And
I-
we do a follow-up on that. We also do a follow-up on any of the road cuts to make sure that, it's not being compromised in any way, further down the road. So we do a 30-day and then we do a 1-year trench inspection. I actually do them personally myself. I have to inspect them and sign off on them, make sure they're not collapsing in, from improper backfill.
I want to float something by the commission. So it looks like this site is in two different resource areas. It's in riverfront and bordering land subject to flood. Considering that it's in riverfront and it's work that's not in degraded riverfront, it's new development, even though it's not impervious surface area. And it's because it's in bordering land subject to flood and there's underground structures being placed, even though they're very minimal, that could be considered flood storage displacement. So I guess I'm just asking the commission if you think this would be an NOI or an RDA.
I'm curious if that's something Comcast had looked into as well.
I mean, I didn't even see a BLSF map in the application. I had to look it up. Also, that building, just so you know, John, that's Mass Historical, and you're gonna have to deal with Mass Historical. Potentially. I did a
Which
project out
building?
there. I did a project out there years ago, and it was a huge archaeological issue.
Which building are you
The-
talking about?
2 Mead Street. And also in the river, which I don't think matters to you, but if you're gonna be staying away from the building, like to the north of the building and south of Mead Street, you might get away with it, but you probably still have to notify them. And then further downstream at, I guess, I don't know what that is, north of 126 Deerfield Street. I don't know what that property is, but there's a whole bunch of, there's like 4 different Mass Historical points along your route. And it's for, if you want to really know, in my experience, it was for the Tap and Die Museum. So like we had archaeologists out there digging through the dirt looking for old screws. Literally.
For Tap and Die Museum, you said?
Yeah, they apparently that building on Mill Street, Mead Street, that interconnection, that old historic mill building used to create taps and dies in the Industrial Revolution. That's basically like the threading around screws. So it's a huge,
So meaning have the trench open, they would want to.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a regulatory thing. I can't imagine there would be any archaeological artifacts within your grassy limit of work, but you probably have to notify them, is all I'm saying.
See, I would have never thought that he would needed to have notified Mass Historical Commission on a project like this.
I
He
know.
has no impact on the building whatsoever.
No, it's just near it. It's like,
Are you saying that they found archaeological artifacts outside of the building in the right of way?
I mean, maybe not the right of way, but they did find them on the bank and in the river when I did the work on the bank. So I just don't know, and I'm not familiar with Mass Historical permitting. Just want to like,
I'm somewhat familiar with it. I don't believe that a project notification form would be required in this case.
what about a self-verification?
Is that something outside of MHC? That sounds like,
That's not us.
Our-
Yeah,
Army Corps thing, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know the answer to that one.
I don't either. Just throwing it out there. Just cover your bases, just in case. But it is under our jurisdiction. Mass historical aside, it is in bordering land subject to flood and riverfront, even though according to the photos, it doesn't look like that is natural riverfront, I guess. It's not degraded, it's not impervious surface area, but it's disturbed. I don't know if I would even call that disturbed. It's maintained lawn and it's going to return to maintained lawn. I don't see an issue with that personally. So I was just floating that by the commission. And then the BLSF issue is just the underground flood storage capacity. So just kind of floating that by the commission.
And John, when you first approached, did you talk to Mitchell Vi?
Yeah, and he was the
And
one
did-
that, yeah, go ahead.
He recommended that you fill out the request for determination of applicability?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay,
That's good to know.
Yeah, I was just looking up all the parts where it talks about the utilities in the Wetlands Protection Act. I don't, I mean,
That's a
You know,
good
there-
point. It's not in it, so that's why I asked if there was an existing underground utility or if it were new, because if you're off a certain distance from the right of way, and I think it's 25 feet. Travis, are you in that right now? Can you tell me what that?
it said in the right of way.
Oh, okay.
If not right of way, in a paved or unpaved road, like it has to be
Oh,
under the road. You'd have to dig up the road, and then it's exempt.
oh, there's no buffer. Darn it.
Here it is. Installation of underground utilities, for example, electric, gas, water, within existing paved or unpaved roadways and private roadways / driveways, provided that all work is conducted within the roadway or driveway and that all trenches are closed at the completion of each workday.
does it define roadway as, is that the pavement or gravel, or does it include the right of way width? Which this is 40 feet and it's in that right of way width, but not in the gravel part of it.
Yeah, it just says road. I'm not sure if a roadway is defined somewhere, but I think there are other parts where it talks about right of ways. So
I feel like that's relevant that because it says in the application it is in the lawful right of way.
there's another, so this is unrelated to utilities, but there's another part where it says pavement repair, resurfacing, and reclamation of existing roadways within the right of way. So I guess it is separating those two in that one.
Mitch, when he talked to me before he left about this, he mentioned that the RDA, because it was in the right of way, it was his thought.
Mm.
I mean, off the top of my head, and I have to look this up, but I would agree that upgrades, maintenance, and improvements to existing infrastructures in the right of way would be exempt. And then new infrastructure within a lawfully developed road would be exempt, but I'm not sure about a right of way because it could be a utility right of way with no underground infrastructure. And I just don't know what that difference is. I feel like we're splitting hairs, but I feel like that's relevant at the same time. 10.02, would that be in 10.02?
That is 10.02 is where it talks about installation of underground utilities within the existing paved or unpaved roadways.
It would state right of way if that was a right of way, because that's different than a roadway.
And the one right before that talks about being within the roadway surface or machinery being located on the roadway surface.
So for the record, we're looking at 10.02 to B, which is buffer zone. That's not resource area.
Yeah, but I think this section is also in Riverfront. It says some things are allowed, and then it references a list. I think it's that list.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in 10.02 that's for resource areas. It's just buffer zone. Other than 10.02, section 2A, which says activities within areas subject to protection under Mass General Laws, chapter 131, section 40. Any proposed activity undertaken within an area specified in the Wetlands Protection Act, which will remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area is subject to regulation and requires filing a notice of intent, except minor activities within riverfront area that are meeting the requirement of 10.02 2B1 and 2, which state minor activities within buffer zone, boopity boo, solely within buffer zone. And this isn't really, it's in riverfront, but it already said that that's okay. Will be done in a manner to reduce potential for adverse impacts to resource areas such as erosion controls, and provided they comply with other regulations. Unpaved pedestrian walkways less than 30 inches wide for private land use and 3 feet wide. Conversion of lawn to residential. All right, that doesn't matter. So I think that what that's saying is it can be considered a minor activity, even though it's in riverfront area, although it doesn't specify whether or not that's true for BLSF, as long as there are no adverse impacts on the resource area. So I guess going back to the BLSF thing, does an underground, there are 3 underground storage or boxes, whatever they are, 24 inches by 36 inches, John, is that what you said?
Yeah.
If that would significantly impact flood storage capacity.
I guess for me personally, Kristen, I feel like you've convinced me that maybe this should be an NOI. Just because, yeah, like flood storage capacity, and I don't think there's a clear way that it would be exempt, and I do think it would be, you know, reasonably easy to evaluate the flood storage capacity, and overall, I think the impacts will be pretty minimal, but I think that the NOI process might be the best way to do that. And that's why RDAs exist, for us to say whether or not you need to do an NOI or not. So it's not just if someone does an RDA, we automatically approve it just as an RDA. So just throwing that out there too.
For the record, I'm really bad at mental math, so I had to do this on online conversion, but 2 feet by 3 feet times 3 is 18 square feet, or 0.0004 acres. So it is a small area. Just in case anyone was wondering, like me, what that amounts to.
It's actually, I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. I'm not doing large vaults. They're actually medium. That's my fault. They're 17 inches by 30 inches.
Way to screw me up even more, John. I don't know what that amounts to in feet.
I'm sorry. I had to pull up the original.
Okay, less than it, probably, let's say like 15 square feet. So it is a pretty small area. But I am interested in hearing what the rest of the commissioners have to say.
We have to fill out an RDA, or rather an RDA has been filed. And so we were responding to that. So we can walk through that process. It does sound like it would need to do they would need to do an NOI since it does affect resource area. But yeah, that's why we do RDAs. That's why people do them.
Yeah, so the RDA options, gosh, I don't have it in front of me, but I feel like their options are like, I should just.
I have it in front of me.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna ad lib.
So for, there's the positive determination, which would mean they have to do an NOI. The negative determination, which would mean they don't have to do an NOI. The options are: 1, the area described is not in an area subject to protection under the Act or buffer zone. 2, the work is within an area subject to protection under the Act, but will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area. 3, it is within a buffer zone, but will not alter an area subject to protection. 4, is not within an area subject to protection under the Act, therefore does not require filing of notice of intent. 5, that's to make a negative determination that the area described in the request is subject to protection under the Act. Since the work described therein meets the requirements for the following exemption, then you list the exemption. Or 6, the area or work described in the request is not subject to review and approval by the Greenfield Wetlands Protection Ordinance. So that's ordinance specific. So since this
Closest we could come, but there is, I mean, we haven't even gotten into, like, what are we doing with the stockpiles and stuff? There is dredge and there is fill, even though it's really small. It's like not quite to number 2.
Remind me, because I think I asked about storage when I was out there, that you're not going to store piles. Aren't you just gonna dig it and then lay it and immediately fill it back in?
Correct. That's correct.
So
it sounds like it's one of those things that if it was in, to me, if it was in the road surface and they were putting it under the road, it would be exempt and it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. But they're in the grass.
But if they're in the road, then they're just closer to the river. So,
I know.
so,
No, the road's further away, actually, I think.
No.
no, because they're between the fence and the road,
Oh, you're right. You're right. And the road is
So-
gravel,
right?
so they're actually on the north side of the road. You're right.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
feel like
wanna, I'm like, I don't wanna create more
Yeah.
business. I feel like this is, ugh, this should not be an NOI. It's killing me.
well, I guess it is up to us. If we feel like it would not alter the area.
But it is, I mean, it's soil disturbance and there's underground storage, like this is, how does that fit into category 2?
About the underground storage. One of those vaults is actually, because it's at the top of at the corner of Mill and Mead. So would that be considered, or so would it just be two of those, medium 17 by, what did I say it was? 17 by 30? 17 by 30 inches.
Still in the right of way, but in the grassy shoulder, not under the road. Is that what you mean, Joe?
Okay. Just looking at it from an elevation standpoint of like that vault on the corner of Mill and Mead is elevated. Anything that's going to flood would be below it from a storage standpoint. So the two down by 40 Mead would be, I guess, considered. Does that make
Kristen,
sense?
Kristen, did you say you looked up a map for bordering
Yeah,
land subject to flooding?
unfortunately, yeah, so we don't have digital data for our part of the state. So I think so I think where John's talking about is up here. So this is Mill Street, this is the dam, this is Mead Street. This is 5 and 10 down here, and the other dam down here. I think, again, this is Mill Street. Mead Street doesn't really show up here. And then I did another one, but I think it went away. I think it went away because it's cut off. Of course, the ferment panels are like right where our spot is. So I think that you're right. This area up here, which is River Street. Is that River Street right here? Or am I in the wrong spot?
You're in the right spot. I think it's just a
These
little
formats
further
stink.
east. I think it's between where it says River Street and the next one. I think it's about where the word mill is above. It's hard to.
Yeah,
point to
I
it.
know. And this is the map I'm working with here. So
Yeah.
basically the polka dots are areas that aren't digitally. So here's our spot. So let's try another one. Okay, maybe this is a little bit better. No, it's exactly the same. Paper formats, this is what we get. Until they pay attention to Western Mass and give us digital data for our
Got
part of the
the
state.
got the date there. Map effective 1980.
Yeah, this is nice and recent. But it does have an elevation, so I mean that might be sometimes that's helpful to just get the baseline for the flood zone and then put that on a set of plans, but you know, not on the plan, so it's hard to really kind of piece all this stuff together outside of this meeting, you know?
I would agree with John that the vault near the dam, near the building to Mead Street is above that elevation. And the two vaults along on Mead Street itself would affect the, you would have to consider compensatory storage.
So do we want to ask for some kind of mitigation? I mean, is that where we're angling towards? And if that's the case, can we even do that without an NOI? Like we're either issuing a negative determination, basically saying no adverse impact, no impact to resource areas, or we're giving a positive determination saying that we want mitigation. Right? Did I sum that up right?
I don't think mitigation would be necessarily involved, maybe with the NOI, but
I mean, it's pretty disturbed. Like, I don't know what we can really do. This is very Berkshire Gassy over here. Like this is what we're talking about. So I think this is facing some Mill Street's up here. This is that historic Tap and Die Museum I was talking about. The Green River's over here on the left. I think this is where we're talking about, right, John? Where the conduit is going in.
that's exactly right.
Yeah, and then this is that historic building. This is Berkshire Gas. Green River's over there. Again, same vantage point. So, I mean, I feel like this is really disturbed personally.
But even then, wouldn't that just be a different category for the NOI if they had to do an NOI?
I guess that's kind like, I just don't want to set a precedent, you know? I feel like biologically, this is sort of a no-brainer. It's a really low-hanging fruit, not a huge issue. It's a right of way. It's not degraded riverfront, but it's lawn. You know, here's my mouse mapper, by the
There are
way.
issues with the fact that the what's it called? The encasement, the
The vault?
the vault will be placed, because one of them will be placed in floodplain, mapped floodplain area, right?
Uh-huh.
Or two of them?
That's correct. Two of them will be in the 100-year flood zone.
And these are out of date, and we know that we're gonna get 100-year floods much more frequently. So I'm not saying they can't do it, but it seems like they would maybe want to think about if there's a alternate placement, honestly.
As a reminder, guys, this is the cemetery where there have been landslides, you know, so
Yeah.
we know there's floods.
How big were the vaults again? 3 by
17 inches by 30.
17 by 30. Yeah.
very small. What kind of mitigation would make sense in this case? You know, it's not like we're filling in a wetland and you have to create one elsewhere. What would that look like, even if there was a mitigation that was a requirement? Nothing's coming to my mind. I don't know if anybody else has had any experience with anything like this.
I was trying to remember at the wastewater treatment plant, I was thinking there was a flood storage component to that. I don't know if anyone remembers.
I've definitely done permitting where we've proposed mitigation for situations like that, and they've been pretty creative. I mean, including like off-site mitigation, but within the same watershed. Sky's the limit. But this, we're talking about like, I mean, it's, what did I say it was? I'm gonna redo the conversion. It's,
15 square feet, you said?
we're talking 0.00025 acres. So less than 15 square feet, 11.25 square feet, roughly. Don't quote me on that. I'm terrible with mental math. But so like a really small, and not, that does not include the conduit. That's just for the underground boxes. So it's pretty small. I mean, I guess I just wish there was a category for an RDA where we could say, yes, it's in resource area, but it will not negatively impact jurisdictional resource areas. You know,
Isn't that number 2?
Isn't that
category?
number,
that's a buffer zone.
I thought that was number 6 or something.
No, number
Oh.
6 is for the ordinance.
Oh. But yeah,
Num-
what, but I thought, I don't remember now. I can't remember. I thought there
Number-
was one that just said it's in the, it's in our area, but
Yeah, number 2 says, motion to make a negative determination that the work described in the request is within an area subject to protection under the act, but will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area. Therefore, said work does not require the filing of a notice of intent.
I feel like we've talked about this before, Travis, when there was
Yeah.
a project that did do those things like remove, fill, and dredge. I mean, maybe this isn't dredge, but there's soil disturbance, there's fill, permanent fill, even though it's very small. How did we get around this in the past? Do you remember? I feel like we've definitely dealt with this before.
Yeah. So just for everyone's knowledge, I'm looking at an MACC presentation by Mass DEP about compensatory flood storage and doing excavation to lower elevation in order to provide flood storage where fill would be added.
Can I make a statement? It's my understanding that what negative determination number 2, fill, I mean, definitely no dredging is going on. No fill is being added. They're just removing dirt and putting it back in the exact same place. So no fill is being added. No dredging is occurring. It's just work in the resource area. I think it falls nicely under category 2, but I'm not on the commission, so.
I feel like even though it's less than 15 square feet, that's fill. And if it's not
Like the
exempt,
the structure, the vault, that will not
Well,
be.
I agree.
even
that will be
riprap,
displacing.
you know, is fill. Just the way
Dirt
they
replacing it is not fill. Fill, in my definition, my experience of 25 years in planning, is when you add material to it. That's fill.
Yeah,
But if you're-
riprap, soil, boxes, that's fill.
The vaults, I agree, that could be considered fill, but not the trenching of the entire project.
Well, guys,
Mhm. I mean, there's part of this is like it's up to our what we think seems rational, I guess. So
Well,
I mean, if you think it's minor enough, I think in the past there has been a project or two that was similar where it was in riverfront area. I think there was one that was like a water pipe or something that was next to a road. And I think we did do it with an RDA. It didn't have the vaults like like this one does, but
What
I
I
think
like the like smaller ones. I don't know how small, like a 12 by 12. More like a handhole.
You just said they're just connecting to the old one
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
box?
I was gonna put an enclosure, a fiber optic, like a splice enclosure, and that's why I wanted the medium. But I can actually put that up at the top, out of the floodplain, and then the two down there in front of 40 Mead, I could do just a small handhole, if that helps. I believe they're 10 by 10 inches by 10 inches, or 12 by 12.
Then we're talking 2 square feet. It's pretty small. I've definitely had to deal with permitting for solar structures in BLSF where just those skinny little, like, you know, half-inch poles, and they quantify all those little poles. I mean, that it does count. They do actually add that stuff up. You know, but like you said, Travis, this is sort of up to us, you know, as an RDA, DEP doesn't weigh in. They only weigh in on NOIs. I think we just need to make sure that whatever we're applying to this application is being applied to future applicants and that we're upholding a standard.
Well, I think as long as we have reasons, as long as we have legitimate backing it up, I mean, because every project's different, so it's a little bit hard to say, you know, we're going to keep the same across the board, but as long as we can explain why we decided one way or the other.
Like it's in a right of way.
It's an upgrade in
disturbed.
utilities. It's already, and you know, and you know, he's talking about maybe even smaller boxes. So now we're, you know, like you said, now we're down to like 2 square feet.
Yeah, and that meets the, you know, I know we're not filing an NOI, but under the performance standards, if we were, it would be required, the project would be required to show, you know, good faith efforts for alternatives analyses and reduction
Yeah, so
for impacts. And we were already just kind of talking about that. So it's applicants making good faith effort to reduce. And it's not degraded, but it is disturbed riverfront.
also, so I'm reading. I'm glad this is the only thing we have to talk about tonight. So
I know.
not gonna be
Sorry, I
super-
thought this was going to be short and sweet.
Yeah, it's okay. So I'm reading the land subject to flooding in the Wetlands Protection Act. And you know, it does say bordering land subject to flooding provides temporary storage area for floodwater, which is overtop the bank of the main channel creek. During periods of peak runoff, floodwaters are both retained, slowly released through evaporation percolation, and detained, slowly releasing through surface discharges by bordering land subject to flooding. So I guess what I'm wondering is, I also looked at this DEP presentation about bordering land subject to flooding, and hold on, I'm going to skip ahead a little. Most of that was talking about above ground structures, you know, because you're taking away the area where water could actually sit there. And if this is going to be underground and not changing the elevation profile of the ground, is that even reducing the flood storage?
So I'm looking at the performance standards right now, and I feel like that's probably what we should have been looking at from the start, which is 10.57, section 4. A is bordering land subject to flooding. So compensatory storage shall be provided for all storage volume that will be lost as a result of the proposed project. So if we're talking about like 2 square feet, is that a significant loss? I guess it's something we should talk about.
But isn't that talking about above ground structures that would be taking up space that water couldn't flood into?
I disagree. I feel like underground is the same because that's where the water table is.
Can I just say
So-
something?
An increase in the hold on 1 second, because this just says an increase in the horizontal extent and level of floodwaters during peak flows. Okay,
Oh.
to me, that's talking about like above ground. It's reducing.
But if you take volume out of the flood storage capacity, it increases it horizontally. But 2 feet, 2 square feet, I don't think is, Sorry, John, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was thinking more about the storage, and I didn't know if, I guess if the bottom of a vault, or in this case a small, like a handhold, doesn't really matter. They're actually open to the ground. That it's not really storing anything in it.
It's not a
I mean-
closed box, you mean?
No.
Like, could
They're open.
water get in during a flood?
It could get in, but it's going to be the same as the ground because the bottom, it doesn't have a bottom on it. It's open to the ground.
I feel like that makes a really big difference.
But
Not
I
that,
guess maybe-
again, 2 feet
Said
is.
beginning. Like it's almost like digging a hole and then, yeah, a hole could fill up with water, but it would also, it's just going to drain naturally, I guess, like, because it's not going to sit in there and be subject to storing it. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. I guess the point is, I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware that these don't have a bottom to them.
Personally, feel
Because
like
And
that
I know,
difference.
and I know there's some underground structures that utilities use that do have a bottom. It's fully cast. These do not. So
But
I'm
we're only
sorry.
talking about the above one now, right? Because the other two.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion for a negative determination that the work described in the request is within an area subject to protection under the act, but will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area. Therefore, the work does not require the filing of a notice of intent. That's type 2.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call. Then, do we want to take comments from the public first, Travis, or do we do that after?
Well, for an RDA, you don't have to take comments from
Okay.
the public, but we could discuss if there's any discussion before we vote.
Yeah, I think we will discuss the special conditions. But do I roll call first, or do we discuss before?
Discuss and then vote.
Okay, thank you. All right, special conditions, guys. What y'all got? I'm thinking about erosion controls. If there needs to be a dewatering plan. John, do you need a dewatering plan at all? Like, what if you hit water table?
If we hit water table,
Yeah,
How deep are you going?
2 feet.
2 feet.
we have pumps and a tank on standby.
Well, I was gonna suggest, and John, let's talk about this. Maybe, do you have a contractor lined up already?
Yes.
Do you want to just maybe we could have like a special condition that says the contractor will provide the agent with a dewatering plan if necessary for administrative approval.
Okay.
Because I just don't want them pumping to like a catch basin without some sort of protection.
Or the river.
Or the river, because it's right there. And that's really tempting. So I just want to make sure like the agent or commission has an opportunity to review it and make sure that it's kosher. Does that sound good, guys? Like a special condition just saying that the contractor will provide a dewatering plan or a water management plan or something like that if necessary before it's implemented for agent.
Yeah,
for
I was gonna say,
municipal-
prior to any dewatering, the Conservation Commission or its agent must approve the dewatering plan.
Thank you for taking these notes, Travis. You're the best. I should be doing this. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know what it's like.
Mm.
Okay, so contractor to provide a dewatering plan.
Yeah, punt it to the contractor, make them do it.
This has to be good enough to get approval. And then Kristen, you were saying erosion control, like along the whole length of the trench?
Oh, it was a question for the commissioners, just saying, what do you guys want for BMPs?
I guess I'm curious if they were planning on doing erosion controls already.
I had that in my original plan before my engineering firm got involved with this kind of final plan. So it was floated out there, but I figured we could talk about it at this point. So if that's something that you would like us to do, we can do that. I just didn't know what side of the road you would want to put on.
I feel like the side of the road that's closer to the river. Here, I can do a quick screen share again. Oopsie, I lost my Zoom screen. Too many computer screens.
I guess my thought was either side of the road, as long as it's between the trench and the river.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so if the work is over here, it could be on the upgradient side or I mean, honestly, my preference would be the upgradient side because if like say there is a ton of water with soil migration, it could have more of a chance to catch gravel because this is an unpaved gravel road, I think.
Yeah.
And then build up sediment or rill and gully. I think it slopes down this way a little bit, so could pick up stuff and then just build up on the straw wattle or get through it. So I guess
Was the commission thinking of a straw wattle for erosion control?
Yeah, I don't think it would need much.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want a silt fence. That would do more
No.
disturbance than the actual trenching.
I agree. I feel like Filtrex sock is really good because they're heavy. Straw wattles are a lot cheaper though. As long as they're properly implemented and staked, every, I don't know, I'm not a contractor, but every so feet. I don't know if that's 5 feet, 10 feet or whatever it is, but like actually, not just a little dinky 6-inch straw wattle, but a little bit bigger and actually appropriately staked so that it maintains contact with the surface of the ground. I think that would be fine personally. What do you guys think?
I mean, I kind of feel like even just with the small amount of disturbance, even a 6-inch would probably be fine.
Well,
I
I
don't
was gonna
know.
say, and it is pretty flat there between the fence, going over the road before you get to the little drop off to the river. So, I mean, there's the hill going down, but
Cool, so straw wattles for erosion controls and
You could say
Bottom
straw water or filter sock. Give them
Yeah.
options.
right.
I don't have any other conditions that I think would be necessary for this.
Yeah, you're doing a trench,
Well-
not directional drilling, right? So it's not like you're gonna have a slurry pile.
Correct.
Will you have
Trench.
any sort of soil stockpile?
No, none.
Is there going to be soil removed where the vaults are going to be? And where is that soil going to go?
Contractor will take it with them back to his yard, but it's very minimal.
Yeah.
Emily,
And the rest of it, there won't
Sorry,
be
John.
any.
were you gonna say something before, Emily? Okay.
What does it say on the plan? Does the plans give the dimensions of the boxes or the apartments? I mean, do we want to?
Does not, it didn't specify.
Okay. Do we want to just say that, you know, the upper one could be bigger, but the two lower ones we'd like to be the smallest?
Well, I guess now that we
Can we
know
say that
they're-
or no? Huh?
now that it's hollow and
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know if it matters as much.
well,
I think we were all thinking of like a sealed, waterproof box that's going to be, impenetrable.
That's what I was definitely thinking of at first. I was picturing one of those like transformer boxes, but underground. I don't know why.
mhm.
I'm not an engineer. I'm just a dumb biologist. I don't know these things. Any other special conditions anybody wants to include? All right, so we've got our special conditions, which just include some BMPs, erosion controls, dewatering plan to be submitted to the agent for administrative approval, or I guess necessary approval by the commission prior to dewatering activities. And that's it. That's all we got. Just those two. All right. We've got a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call. Erica,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Emily.
Aye.
I'm also an aye, so that motion passes. John, thanks for hanging with us. I know we talked a lot about this and you're probably ready
Sick
for
of
bed
hearing
now.
us talk.
No, that's fine. It's actually a good learning opportunity for myself too, for some of the things that we talked about and that I listened to. Just to confirm though, if with those vaults being open, so it sounds like it's not an issue to use the three of the same size like my original plan.
I think that's what we decided.
Yeah, my concern was flood storage displacement, and it doesn't sound like that will be the case because it's not like a volume displacement, right? If they're open.
It actually might
Is it?
increase flood
Yeah.
storage because it's removing soil and creating an empty cavity where flood can fill in. So I think it could actually be increasing flood storage. Kristen's skeptical of that.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm too tired. I can't comment.
I mean,
Nice.
unless anyone else disagrees, I think the answer is yes, that it's fine to use the three the same size.
I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, thank you again, John, for presenting your project and good luck with everything. Is there an appeal period for an RDA? There is, right? 10 days?
10 days.
Yeah, and then you'll get your paperwork and good luck with everything.
Okay, so just have my contractor do the dewatering plan, get that together. And Eric, does that go to you?
Yeah, so send that to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
Thanks again,
Thanks.
John.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have new business. Any topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of the posting of this agenda. Does anybody have new business? I personally don't. We've got Jessica here. That's new business. It's exciting.
So this isn't new business necessarily, but I just wanted to let everyone know that I saw an email. Hold on, I'm double checking, make sure I'm not muted. All right, I saw an email from Green & Greenfield. Oh, hold on, I just saw it today. About they're doing a field trip related to the old Wedgwood Gardens. What's it called? Miller's Meadow. They're doing a field trip to look at another area that had been restored next to a river.
Oh, cool.
I don't know where I saw that. No, actually.
Field trip to like another town, or what are we talking about?
Yeah. Sorry,
it's going up to
I was gonna
Conway.
pull it up and have it and be able to
There's
talk
a lot
about
of
it.
work that's been done on the South River and some really interesting projects. There's one that's pretty similar, or that could be similar to some of the work that's hoped to be done in the Miller Meadow. The town acquired a property along the river. They removed soil to reconnect the floodplain and did some stones and other work in the river to sort of direct the flow away from a bank that was close to a house. It's really neat. So I think it's November 4th. I'm planning to go if anybody's interested in it. Either Travis or I can send it around, and I would highly recommend it. It's really interesting stuff.
Cool. Yeah, so that's in
Yes.
Conway.
Conway. Yep, and it is November 4th, and I'll send the email around to the commission members. And it's as a result of the MVP action grant the city was awarded that we applied for. We'll be doing a project at Miller's Meadow, and we're using that as an example.
Awesome. Who's gonna be like, are we subcontracting a contractor, or is that gonna be done in-house, or how do we do the restoration work? Or is it
So the MVP grant is the project team involves members of Green & Greenfield, Nancy Hazard, and also Peter Wackernagel. He did the little project at 20 Sanderson Street. He works with youth and does a lot of tree planting. So he'll be the person that actually buys all the approved trees and other vegetation from nurseries and doing the planting on specified planting days with youth.
so
Yeah, it's gonna
cool?
be like a volunteer
Volunteer
project.
effort.
No excavators and rock veins and that kind of stuff, just plantings.
We already
Just-
approved this. We already approved this project. They came before us.
Thanks,
and
Travis,
we
for
gave approval
shaming
for
me
it.
publicly
That's
for
okay, I'm just-
being tired.
Just pointing it out.
Yes, it already went before you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I'm
Maybe
turning
you missed that
red.
meeting. Maybe you missed that meeting.
I probably didn't. I've only missed 2 meetings in the however many years I've been here, since December of
Wow.
2021. I know, and I feel really bad about them. They're both recent. But I can't speak for my brains, which apparently mush after 6:30. So sorry. Thanks for refreshing my memory. That sounds really cool.
It was a while ago.
Thanks. Thanks. Appreciate it, Erica. Any other new business? Do we want to talk about Jessica and introduce you? And
Hi. Thanks for making me laugh. My brain also turns to mush after 6:30. Yeah, today was my first day. It was a great first day. And jumping right in with both feet, having the meeting tonight. Been trying to take notes. So I'll get the hang of it soon. And yeah, what would you like to know? I live in Florence. I moved to Florence in August with my family. I was out west for 20 years. I'm sorry, I'm a Massachusetts native. Went out west for 20 years and now I'm back. Feels good to be back. I've grew up in Eastern Mass, so it's a little different, but I am familiar with this area because my sister lived out here for a few years. And yeah, I'm just really happy to live here. It feels really good. It's been a beautiful fall. And I'm happy to be on the team.
Welcome back to Massachusetts and
Thanks.
welcome back to Western Mass. So much better than Eastern Mass. Just saying.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different flavor out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I was originally from Eastern Mass too, and then I'm a UMass transplant, and ever since been in love with Western Mass. So
Yeah.
it's great out here. Welcome. So glad to have you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Any other new business, guys, or should I jump into old business?
Keep it rolling.
All right, we got old business. Anything from you, Eric, on old business enforcements?
Yeah, so I did have a conversation with Jeff Brusco, 75 Oak Hill Road. Reminded him of his November 15th deadline to do the restoration plan for the trees he took down. He said he's going to have it done by then. He's talking about submitting an application to the planning board for a subdivision, and I said, well, you're going to have to submit a plan to the Conservation Commission first because the resource area is out there. So he understands that, and he understands he must have this restoration plan done before we accept any application from him.
I mean, that is one good thing. The fact that he wants to do a project in the resource area there gives him a little more incentive to follow through with the restoration plan. Whereas sometimes with other people, they have less incentive.
And if he wants to sell it, if there's an enforcement order on his property, that's attached to the deed until it's closed out, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
It follows. So you can't, I mean, some potential buyer wouldn't want to buy that with an enforcement order on it, I don't think.
The two enforcement situations is the same as I say every time. And I did explain to Jessica that, these are pretty serious violations. The filling in at the Colerain Road property and 8 Conway Drive, all the activities going on there for many, many years. But I did explain to her that Mass DEP themselves do not want to take this on. It's not big enough for them. They have bigger fish to fry. But it's too big of a fish to fry for us, a small city. If they can't use their resources to assist us in this major enforcement action on these 2 properties, we simply don't have the resources or the capacity to do it. So Jessica understands that. Those 2 are always on there. We were talking about, do they need to be on there forever on the agenda, or do we simply put them to the side and not listed every single agenda item?
That is unsettling. Mark Stinson said that from DEP?
No, not Mark Stinson. The main enforcement people there. I forgot the guy's name. David Foss or
David Fowlis is retired and David Cameron is moved on. So maybe we should re-present that to the new DEP staff. We've got new folks over there, fresh blood. I mean, maybe it won't be like an attorney general state issue, but like maybe Western Region DEP we've got new staff over there. Maybe we should fluff that up and see if DEP new staff want to take over that.
Good suggestion. It's one way to get it off the list.
Yeah. Just a thought. Yeah, and then we do have quite a list of other active order of conditions and updates, but I don't think anything is pressing, is it?
Those are active order of conditions, and we'll review that list to make sure it's totally accurate. And when somebody submits a certificate of compliance, we remove it from that list. So the list stays there until it's either removed by certificate of compliance or the enforcement orders, or if it's resolved, then it'll be removed.
If one of these is, say, dated like May of 2024, does that mean that's when it expires? So that order of conditions is expired, right? So it's not our responsibility to reach out to them, but
We definitely can, and we have done that in the past, reached out and,
Mhm.
you know, let them know that filing a certificate for a certificate of compliance is like the next step.
or an extension for if
An
they need to
extension, yeah.
extend the permit, yeah.
Although if it's lapsed, I'm not sure if you
Oh,
can
yeah.
get an extension once it's already.
That's a good point. Thank God we have you, Travis. Okay, you're right.
I'm not sure about that.
I feel like we talked about this before, and
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about this before. It looks like there are two that are elapsed. So this is a great little list. That's really
Yeah,
handy.
we will reach out. The agent, it does do that as part of the responsibility, and Mitch has done that in the past, and Jessica will do that in the future. We will reach out to those individuals, before things expire, so that they can either ask for an extension, or in the cases where it's expired, we'll find out if they're done with the project, if they want to file a certificate of compliance.
Cool. Thank you. Well, our next meeting date is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. I don't know if we've heard anything about whether our chair will be available that day or not. But that concludes our agenda. If anybody wants to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. I thought Erica was going to do it. That's why I didn't do it.
Well, usually Kristen does it.
I always do it. I'm always the first to do it, but I feel like I don't want to be like, I'll motion as I talk about it.
If we have time
Well,
next
I'll-
time, this is pretty busy. I'd love to be able to just start going over the task force priority list with everybody. So
Yeah. So should we put that on our next agenda, Emily?
sure, that'd be great. And then I think the link to the spreadsheet got sent to everybody, and if not, we can send it again just so you can maybe take a glance between.
Okay. And I promise I will get those draft special conditions to everyone. I think that Billy spent a lot of time doing the general conditions, which we have a boilerplate for. I was sort of hoping you should take a crack at the special conditions. So, but I'm like 90% through. I just need to talk about it with Mark and make sure it's not too wordy and all over the place, and obviously run it by Billy, and then we can all talk about it as a group, and Billy will be here, and so stay tuned for that excitement. Okay, so we got one motion. Did somebody second it? Did you second it, Erica?
Yeah, well, I think I was starting to, and then I don't know. So yeah, I'll second it.
Sorry,
All right.
jumped in.
All right. Well, I'll do a roll call. Travis,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Emily. And I'm also an aye. So meeting is adjourned. See you all on the 12th. Again, Jessica, so glad to have you. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
And have a good rest of your week, everybody. Stay tuned for orders of conditions from Mass DOT.